In this week's episode, we discuss the astrological transits of Mars conjunct Saturn, a grinding type of day, as well as Venus ingress Pisces, Mercury sextile Mars, and Mercury ingress Taurus, as well as more. It is a meaty week that you will not want to miss. And also, you'll get a little meditation from me. So stay tuned for this episode of Astrological Intentions. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Astrological Intentions. I am your host, Alex Reevy, along with the spiritual socialite herself, Sandy Reevy. Say hi.
Hi, I'm about to go. Hi.
It is episode 183, April 4th. Let's get right into it. In the transits, we have a big week starting today. Mars conjunct Saturn.
Grind inside the boundaries.
Tuesday, April 5th, Venus ingress Pisces.
She arrives as honored guest.
Thursday, April 7th, Mercury sextile Saturn.
Keep your head down and your mind on track.
Friday, April 8th, Mercury sextile Mars.
Do today what you want tomorrow.
And Sunday, April 10th, Mercury square Pluto.
Brings out what is hidden.
And Mercury ingress Taurus.
Mental mind slows pace.
Then in Talisman time, Sandy has finished up one to add richness to my private life, as well as two upcoming to ask for favors in order to advance and to harmonize an important relationship. Don't forget, this is the first announcement of our Talisman of the Month, and it is on the website, ready and available. Then on the horizon, we have many events coming up. The one most important is the purple rain that you're not going to want to bring an umbrella to. That is the Jupiter conjunct Neptune talisman ceremony happening April 9th. Then in our house, I'm going to be giving a body scan meditation. So just for us to get into our bodies and ready for this first week of April. Stay tuned for this episode of Astrological Intentions. And so you finally know you control where you go. Welcome in, spiritual socialite.
I have been, Venus has moved up into my 7th house. And so I've been very social.
Yeah, absolutely. So you have lots of plans. You have dinner plans, you have other dinner plans, you have girls' day plans. So that's kind of where that's coming from. You're the spiritual socialite.
Yeah. Thank you. And because it's vision boarding that we did.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So let's get direct with all of our listeners. So I have a message from Michelle G. She had an astrology reading with you and sent in a testimonial. And she says, confirmed my intuition and more. And she goes on to say, Sandy was so thorough and detailed in her reading and explained everything so I could understand how my chart influenced my own life. Mm-hmm. And so, yeah, and it's also like sometimes it's hard to decide which one influences which. Like, does our life influence the chart, or does the chart influence our life? And that's what's so cool about it. At the same time, you don't necessarily, there is no answer, and it's just kind of like mirrored. It's this reflective tool that winds up being so mystical and magical at the same time.
Yeah, I can just picture her. Thanks, Michelle, for getting that too. I bet you're sitting in Rome, drinking your teacup, sitting out.
No, drinking wine.
No.
Gotta drink wine.
Well, she'll probably do that too. But anyway, yeah.
When I was in Rome, that's what I liked. The house wine was always key. Oh, that's one of my favorite cities in the world.
Florence is the place.
Well, I haven't been there, so maybe.
I don't know. I'll take my Florence over your Rome.
Probably.
Maybe we need to do a trip.
Okay, we'll do a swap.
Is that a retreat? Is that a retreat?
Sure.
From Rome to Florence. Yeah, the Renaissance.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's move into the transits because we have a decently meaty week ahead.
And it starts boom right away. Monday's tough. Today, if you're listening to this on time, not an easy day.
So let's start with Monday, April 4th, Mars conjunct Saturn.
Let's just break that down. Mars malefic joining
Together.
forces
Yeah.
with the other malefic. So this is grinding. Mars is here to, get action moving, to Saturn that says, do not move any further than this, right? So
I can just hear that really creepy sound when like the brakes are kind of grinding in a car as it's coming to a stop.
Think about grinding your teeth.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
It's like there's a wearing down of something
Right.
here. So, grinding to me is like the powering through, friction to sharpen. Boundaries, the boundaries is within self, or with, boundaries are of home, or the confinement of your work job description, the boundaries, the box that you have to categorize everything in. Relationship, boundary of a project, work associates, friends, all of these are in the mix.
Right.
And Mars has some managerial focus here at the 22 degrees of Aquarius, where they're meeting up, because Mars is in the bounds between 20 and 25 of Aquarius, which means has some constructive approach to this. So Mars can say, oh, to Saturn, because Saturn's like sitting there, waiting. Saturn's the slow guy. Mars is meeting up with Saturn because Mars is the faster of the two. And so Saturn's there. He carries all the power because he is the ruler of Aquarius. So Saturn has the control on what occurs in the concentration, and Mars has a little bit of cooperation maybe with Saturn, but Mars wants to move it faster than Saturn does.
Okay.
So, it's like maybe this is a day to work alone, work today or tomorrow, solo projects. You're not really wanting to hear someone else's direction or telling you what to do, whether you're doing it right or you're doing it wrong. It really could create some of that friction.
So take the governor off the golf cart is what you're saying, because
Tell me about that.
the governor is it's basically like a limiter that the golf cart actually can go pretty fast, but everyone knows golf carts like are little turtles. They're like just like it takes quiet and just slow moving. You can never get them to speed up. But that's because there's a governor on in the engine where it's a governor where it just basically limits how fast you can go.
That's so Saturn.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
I hadn't even connected that, and I do know now that you said governor that I remember that. So these are the two malefics meet here, and they meet every 2 years because Mars is a 2-year sign. Next time they meet will be April of 2024, and they'll be meeting in Pisces,
right?
Where really Saturn has no
that's
essential
real
or accidental dignity,
and it doesn't have any boundaries, right? Because
Saturn might have the first 10 degrees in the decan, but Mars does hold a little bit more, particularly for night charts. So, but that's in April of 2024 when they meet in Pisces. It's just really interesting here that the last time they met at that 0 degree of Aquarius on April 1st of 2020. So this was 2 years ago. And again, that's a hot spot. That 0 degrees of Aquarius seems to be the hot spot for this kind of continuing couple years of that we've been living, because that was the same 0 Aquarius December 20 of 2020 that Jupiter and Saturn crossed and moved us into the air economy. And then we just recently in March of this year that Venus and Mars moved in together at 0 Aquarius. So really interesting that this pair is meeting up where they did meet up last time at that 0 Aquarius, April 1st of 2020. So again, there's 2 years that have passed. What has occurred, right? And
a lot has occurred, right? Mainly with COVID.
Yeah, and so that it closed us down, and then is it opening us back up? But what are we grinding inside the borders? And we can now see this ugly Russian war that's occurring, and it's happening in this air. So we may start seeing more air strikes, because it's in air. So Ukraine and Russia is ruled by Aquarius. So Mars and Saturn meeting here, one is overplaying the other. And if I did hear correctly, I think a couple days ago, I'm already hearing I think it was on Friday, the first airstrike that Ukraine has had on Russian territory. I think that's what I said. So it makes sense that this is occurring right about the same time.
Interesting.
So we're going to be watching, actually not only airstrikes, but any airplane
activity,
activity, disasters, or some kind of, hitting a wall kind of thing. Right. So in other words, take your foot off of the pedal. You don't have to put it on the brake, but can we coast this day? Can we just coast?
Right.
You don't have to brake and stop and throw the people that are behind you into the back end of you. You don't have to speed up and push anybody that's ahead of you.
Right.
Just coast. Let's just go with the tempo. It'll be hard to do. This is not my conflict day, but it could have been.
Okay. And so let's move on to Tuesday, April 5th, the next day. Venus, Ingress, Pisces.
Oh, now. This happens at 10:18 a.m., so we get the full day. And she arrives as an honored guest. This is her exaltation placement. And that word, exaltation, we can actually picture that, right? Exalted, moving it up on the pedestal. Venus gets to be esteemed, respected as an honored guest, where she is ranked above the others. So, Venus, beauty. Let's watch for beauty products in the mail. Which is funny because I just want to talk about this. I did just see this, that Dunkin' Donuts, did you see this?
No.
They have a makeup line.
When was that announced?
Do you know of it?
No.
Oh, ELF, ELF. Do you know that cosmetic brand?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Just announced makeup that tastes and smells like your morning coffee and some donuts. And the packaging is formed in donuts in coffee cup.
Was this announced on April 1st?
This is not a joke.
Are you sure?
I swear. Google it right now while I keep talking.
Okay, we'll work on that.
So just kind of things that are, we're going to be watching anything in the news about beauty products or fashion or anything to do with the, feminine things. Are women in the news a little bit more often? I found it interesting too because I knew this was coming in, and we did just see the Oscars, and I know everybody's talking about that, but I want to talk about the Venus portion of that, where there were 3 female hosts, and that to me does bring in this well-mannered gestures. Now that's hilarious because talking about the Oscars, that's not exactly what occurred, but Venus doesn't move into Pisces until the 5th. But anything to do with art and spirituality, taking the Venus into Pisces. So really, really nice. If you have a very prominent Venus in your chart, I do. It's at my midheaven in sign of Taurus. But if Venus is your time lady for the year, very important. If you're a Libra sun or a Taurus sun, for you, Alex, you have a Taurus rising. So we'd watch this be a little bit, the shift of this is, you're doing great. So watch for these shifts that become more favorable. You may want to check out talismans that I'm doing this month, or get on the list for a personal talisman, because both of the benefics are in Pisces. This will not happen for another 12 years.
And I was kind of thinking, I think I'm ready for another personal.
Oh,
so
it's the ruler. It's the helmsman. You have a Taurus rising, right? So Venus rules Taurus.
Right. Taurus
so Venus
and Libra
is your helmsman, which is the steerer of your ship for your whole life. So with it in Pisces, and you're a Pisces,
right?
So this doesn't happen again until February of 2034. Now, who wants to wait that long? Raise your hand. Okay, I see no one. I see no one. So she's in her exaltation from this Tuesday the 5th of April until May 3rd. So not long enough.
We can find a time.
So let's grab that energy. I've got a lot of talismans coming your way. I will be also selling. I don't even know if I told you this. I've got some dates at the end of the month that I want to be selling some where you sign up. I've got the intention already written.
You did actually tell me about this.
Okay.
April 30th, we were thinking about the Venus conjunct Jupiter and Pisces talisman offers, which the talisman offers are basically, it's kind of like a pre-sale, but you're
involved.
You're definitely involved. Yeah.
Well, you'll be able to pick the canes that I'm using if you want large bead or small bead. And I'll like I did it last time. I remember when Jupiter and Pisces went in together. I did Saturn and Jupiter went in together to Aquarius. I did and sold out. I think I had 5 slots, and the women got to pick out. I had about 21 different slices of cane. Right. And I numbered them. They made the purchase. It was $333. They got to write their affirmation. I've written the intention already. They write the affirmation, and they get to pick 6 of the colors that are on the website. Yeah. And they take that time, and I'm counting down with them.
Right. So it's basically a personal, you get to customize those canes. You get to be there for the process. You are writing that affirmation. So yeah, that's coming up. I will have more information soon. Yeah,
and that'll be throughout the week, the last week of this month, because I'm going to look, I've got about 4 to 6 times. I'm still identifying the last couple. Okay. So those will go up on the website. I don't know, in a couple weeks.
All right. So let's move on to Thursday, April 7th, Mercury sextiles Saturn.
Keep your head down or your mind on track. Or how about both?
Yeah.
But it means the same thing. I mean, we're starting our day right off. You wake up 7:37 a.m. and we have Mercury, the planet of communication, in Aries. And, is he strong in Aries? No. He has very little. He's got some terms or bounds, but very little essential
authority,
dignity.
Right.
Yeah. And he's combust. So Mercury is so close to the sun, within 8.5 degrees on either side, that we can't see Mercury in the sky. He's kind of burned up, if you will, because he just met with the Cazimi the week before
with the sun.
But he is back to his preferred evening position, especially for the evening night charts. Saturn is allowing concentration, self-control, and discipline. Again, this is a solo-focused mind. So if you need to be focused on one thing, and if you've got a test to attend to, or an application to fill out, or taxes to do, this is the day. Thursday the 7th, get your head in the game. You'll be able to focus a lot.
Yes. And I guess because Mercury's just out of that Cazimi, maybe Mercury received a big boost of energy and has the energy to really be there and be working with Saturn.
Right. Kind of doing things maybe behind the scenes too. Right. And maybe and maybe even mundanely, there could be some Mercury, some decision making or negotiating being done with the superiors, Saturn, that we are not to see or know about currently right now until Mercury starts to be seen in the night sky.
Okay.
Because he was a morning star. He made the Cazimi last week on Saturday, when everybody should have made their vision boards at the new moon and the Cazimi. On Saturday, that's what I did. A group of us got together. And now he's maybe making, like you said, some decisions that aren't in the news yet.
Okay, so let's move on to the next transit. Friday, April 8th, Mercury sextile Mars. So we both talked about Mercury and Mars. So now they're meeting up to team up.
Right. So do what you want today. No. Does that make sense? No.
Do today what you want tomorrow. Yes.
Yeah. So Mercury, that planet, is now it's just left the sextile aspect to Saturn the day before and has moved on to Mars. So what was a no yesterday, like focused, what's the plan kind of thing, today is let's take action. And so and there's a reception here as well, because if we think about Mercury being an Aries sign, what rules Aries? Mars. Mm-hmm. So Mercury's making an aspect to Mars, so there's this
and
reception. Mars is in Aquarius, so there's no mutual reception.
Oh, it's just one reception, kind of like a one way.
Yeah, a one way, but they can witness, they can see each other. So it's nice for forward thinking, getting ahead of your game, understanding your path, be it a different one than you anticipated. And this is when I was writing, and I mentioned this on our Saturday, Susan and I,
your
April forecast. And anyone that has purchased or gets the cheat sheets, I got down to this date on the 8th, and I was like, I need some music, right? I'm sitting in my studio, and I'm like, and I asked the lady in the box to play music, and I'm thinking, oh, you know what? This reminds me of getting a leg up. This is like getting a leg up mentally.
The John Mellencamp song that you played all the time growing up.
He's still a major portion of my psyche. And I'm like, let me listen to that song while I'm writing about it. And so I ask her to play Get a Leg Up, because that's what this mental ability is. And it's like, keep your head straight ahead. Don't be shy. Don't be hasty making judgments, because you could be wrong. So just those words that I had written were in now the written.
Interesting.
Yeah. So that John Cougar and I are thinking along the same lines. Is what
Precisely.
Where I said, getting ahead of the game, don't be shy. This is Mars. Take your movement, forward thinking, even though a different one that you had anticipated. Again, like, don't make hasty judgments, because you could be wrong. Mm-hmm. So just make a judgment. Just go. It's okay. It could be wrong, but go.
Right. And so let's move on to the two final transits that are happening both on Sunday, April 10th. The first, Mercury square Pluto.
Yeah, now we're squaring here. Brings out what is hidden. And, of course, this happens at 3:45 a.m. in the darkness, where that actually occurs. And at this point, Mercury is out of combust, but still under the beams of the sun, which is within 15 degrees. So these are compulsive thoughts. These are forced words. Yet it's good for any study of the occult or any study of magic subjects, of getting down to the bottom of a research project or investigation. And the song that came on is his new album. Just went right into his new album, and I did not prep these because I don't know I didn't even know he had a new album out. That's how maybe I'm not such a fan of his recently, because I don't even know. But the next song that showed up while I was writing this one is "I Am a Man That Worries." Now, how true is that? This compulsive thoughts, right? And it's like, so get out of my way. Words I'm hearing, never gonna go away. So true with what I was writing, and that's why I'm saying this
those
today.
Compulsive thoughts.
It's like everything I was writing was being sung in the corner of my room magically, and again,
and synchronistically.
This is really the Jupiter Neptune that's already within aspect of each other for a week now or so, and anyone that's in the spiritual world or has a lot of Pisces or has that thin veil, it's gotten thinner.
Yeah, where those synchronicities happen.
Things are happening. Believe it, trust it. And so that's one way I can show you how, for me, this has come up. I'm a strong Pisces. You're a strong Pisces. My Mercury sits in Pisces. And so as I write, I have to listen at the same time. And man, it was getting reverberated in what was already coming out my pen.
Right.
So I know that happens to a lot of people. I've got clients that's how they write their best-selling books, is they just pose their pen or their fingers and
let it flow.
Something's coming out.
Right. Well, and I think that you also, just even talking about this Jupiter Neptune, which I want to preface here, is that we have a talisman making webinar that's happening April 9th.
Mm-hmm.
That's happening basically this Saturday, where it's going to be tons of information about how this veil is really being lifted, dissolved, taken away, where we can get these messages, increase our creativity, both subconsciously and consciously. Kind of getting these messages where we're like, where did that come from? We have no idea, but let's,
but we thank you.
Right.
It's like these angels or spirits or
informing.
Stephen Forrest calls it the disembodied personas, that are on the other side that are helping us, and we don't judge them. We actually thank them.
Yeah.
Right. And we're
it's
grateful
information.
for them. Because, what you'll learn too in the webinar that we're talking about is the low end, because we're speaking of the high end of that frequency. The low end is the exact opposite of not believing anything or believing in the wrong thing, like illusion or delusion or lies or deceit.
Right.
That's where that's the low end. And anybody listening to this podcast and anybody that follows Alex and I or that is in astrology, I think you're on the high end. So, we just want to be careful with anybody trying to sell us something
and know that
believe.
Polarity.
Yeah. And there's always polarity in astrology. It's the high end and the low end, high road and low road. We know the staples,
the easy button.
The easy button.
So April 10th, also on Sunday, we have a second transit that is Mercury Ingress Taurus. Yeah,
so now Mercury's moved out of the fast pace of Aries, and Mercury's moved into the earth, fixed into the mud. And so at least it's at 9:00 p.m. So you can get your Sunday chores out of the way and figured out before you get really, it might be hard to wake up on next Monday because you're just really slower paced. And methinks it's time to integrate all those ideas and thoughts in conversations into a slower pace to see if any of those will be able to be workable. Those issues or subject matters that have come forward since March 27th, and that's when Mercury went into Aries, and now for the next 3 weeks, can you engage any of them? Are any of them worth your time? Take this time to focus on them, because next up is Mercury going into his home sign of Gemini. Ding, 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 ding. He's on a move.
Right.
And maybe then you sign the agreement, you make the contract, you want the paperwork, you say yes to something.
And when does that happen? Do you have any idea?
This is on April 30th.
Okay.
So we have this whole April 10th through April 30th to be more diligent, get your, you hear that word, due diligence, do your work, take slower, don't be, you can still be excited about things that you were excited about when Mercury was in Aries, but
it's a slow burn.
More realistic.
Right.
Slow your buttish downish.
Yes.
Does that make sense? Do you know what I mean?
Right. Because like what that Aries energy is like extremely hot, burning, rapid boil. And that Taurus energy is much more like a simmering. And, that's when the tasty stuff comes out, right? That's when, when you're cooking something and you're now simmering it, like the juices are now being like really,
nice.
Absorbed. You're smelling it. And, it's not being overcooked. It's just there. And it's like this like place that you can really enjoy and sustain. And that's I think the biggest word with Taurus is sustainability, right? Because we can be so excited about something, and that's like totally Aries, like, oh my gosh, yes, and then we can do this, we can do that, blah blah blah, blah. And Taurus is like, wait. Okay. Like, just like you said, like, let's get a little bit more realism in our lives of how this pace can be. Like, what's our cadence? How can we get all of this done and just keep a pattern, keep a cycle that's simmered?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Is any of those ideas that came in, March 27th through April 10th, have any of those worthy? Are they valuable?
Of that, yeah. Of that simmering.
Like, what do you want to take your time with?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you've missed the boat in some of those areas, because with Mercury being in Aries, it's so fast that you're trying to do too many things at once, that something's fallen out of the basket as you were running to the next thing.
As you were trying to say face past. You meant to say fast paced.
Oh, what I say?
But you said face past.
Okay.
Precisely. You proved your point.
What? I proved my point?
You proved your point.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's my Mercury and Pisces for you.
And so let's move into talisman times, because you have finished up a talisman on the 29th of March to add richness into my personal life.
I look around at my family and my living situation. This is where I want to be. I can list the many ways I feel blessed. I'm counting to infinity.
Oh, that last one. Oh.
Yeah, this is a Sagittarius rising with, of course, Jupiter being in the 4th house, which is an angle house, which is family and where you live and your foundation, your family of origin.
Yeah.
And the moon is also in Pisces, making that conjunction right on that IC, which is the nadir, making that a conjunction to Jupiter. So, yeah.
That's nice. And what a pleasant place to be.
Yeah. It's, because the life is, we have to put it into halfers, but, really a chart is half above the in the sky,
right,
and the other half is below, right? So it's kind of like as important as advancing and achieving and getting ahead and gaining and getting a promotion and
right,
looking good and all those things. It's like, what about my private life?
Correct.
And so
and what about me
richness,
enjoying any of the things that I'm achieving and succeeding in? Are you even allowing time to really be in enjoyment?
Yeah.
Because it tends to be hard when we're in this hustle culture. Mm-hmm. So let's talk about the upcoming talismans. Tuesday, April 5th, to ask for favors in order to advance.
This is a sun talisman because we got the sun in Aries now. I deserve my reward now. I ask for them politely and firmly and am given them. I have earned each and every one. Mm-hmm. And this is the moon from the 11th house making an aspect to the sun in the 10th house. So the sun is at the top of the chart. And that's why this is a really nice sun talisman, because the sun is exalted in Aries. Mm-hmm. So if anybody has a sun in Aries, this is the time of year to get it. And, we still have Jupiter in the sign of Pisces. We have Venus just moving into Pisces. So even though this is a sun talisman, a sun exalted talisman, it really holds a lot of this, the Jupiter and Venus in Pisces. So if you need a sun talisman, this is it. You won't be able to get one like this for another 12 years.
Oh, wow. Okay. And I mean, because it is an upcoming one, if
it's on the website, I've just added them.
Okay. Is there enough time for a pre-sale on that one?
Yeah.
Okay. So if you're hearing this on Monday and you love that talisman, just reach out to us for the pre-sale of.
Well, you would just buy it. You would just
you would purchase it on the website,
and then I would contact you.
Mm-hmm. So Friday, April 8th, to harmonize an important relationship.
I blend, weave, and nurture this incredible person to me in my life. Our togetherness outweighs our separateness. We are in rhythm.
That is beautifully written. It really is.
I just write. I'm not really, like I say, I'm not a writer with Mercury and Pisces, and any astrologer out there or astrology student knows. But when I'm writing from spirit or soul, again, put your pen to the paper, and I don't use my keyboard. I use this beautiful pen that was made for me. This is also the moon making a really nice conjunction at the midheaven with the fixed star Sirius, which is about harmonizing relationship. So
and I really
we've got
like
a crescent moon here. The moon is in Cancer because Sirius is in Cancer, and the moon is making a square to the sun, but at least it is a witnessing. So there's an aspect there.
And I like
and
what
we've
you
got
said.
We've got the exalted Venus still here, and we have Jupiter in Pisces. So again, this I would call this this is a fixed star talisman. But if you want that important relationship and to be in more harmony with it,
right, and even to kind of like usher it into your life, or to transform one that you currently have, or elevate one that you currently have, and it is true that in relationship there are going to be differences. That's probably the thing that you realize most after the honeymoon phase is how many differences you have. But I like what you said, is that we have more similarity than those differences.
Well, and I like the idea of rhythm. There's sometimes you take a step back, then you take a step toward, and then you walk. It's a
dance.
It's like this rhythm dance, and you're like, you go fast and then you go slow, right?
Yeah.
You go high and you go low, right? And just to know that, as because if you think about dance, and I know you and your boyfriend do a lot of ballroom dancing, and there's like times that you separate, like spin each other and separate and turn around, and then you come back together.
Right.
And so that's that rhythm.
Right. And there's like, different, either like, kind of being on a side position, or being face to face, or being, back to back, kind of, some
in turns.
Sometimes. Yeah.
Yeah. Or front to back.
Right.
It's always a beautiful movement because you're all in rhythm, and that's what this talisman is.
Yes.
Yeah.
So as a reminder for everyone, the Talisman of the Month is available on the website and at a very, very special price to make a positive influence on others. That link is in the description, or head over to the website intentionbeads.com. So let's move into on the horizon. We have our spring equinox. That is the CWS webinar that's ready for download. This will be my last time announcing it here on the podcast. We also have our April astrology forecast that Sandy and Susan put together like they do every month, where all of the dates, everything is there and laid out for you. And plus a bonus, for only $10, you can get the April cheat sheet, where you have all of the information that Sandy and Susan lay out. As a big announcement, this Saturday is our Purple Rain Talisman ceremony. This is the Jupiter conjunct Neptune talisman, where it will be about really diving into and engaging with our unconscious and conscious creativity. You get to write the affirmation. We come together as a group to learn about what Jupiter conjunct Neptune even means, as well as you get a personalized recorded video about how it is working within your chart, within your life. I think these talisman ceremonies are so wonderful because you not only get this personal aspect of what's going on in your own life, you actually get to be there and supported by other people and hear what their affirmations are and hear what they're working on, where it is this sense of inspiration because you're not alone. Everyone is here to really take a step forward in their life, ask for the things that they want to ask for, strive for the things that they want to gain, and be present within it all and be intentional. So, of course, we would love to have you there. The link is in the description. And if you have any questions, Alex at intentionbeads.com. I was going to say at info. So Alex at intentionbeads.com. also, April 13th, Sandy and Susan are coming together again to do their Jupiter conjunct Neptune astrology basic webinar, where you'll learn some basics about what Jupiter and Neptune are doing. You can personalize it a bit, where you'll understand a little bit more about where in the housing structure of your chart it is falling on. If you want to take a step into the much more personalized aspect, I would say the Purple Rain Talisman is definitely the answer.
Please. Yes.
So May 14th through the 20th, I will be hosting the 7-day challenge. It is a free event where you bring your talisman, or you just bring yourself and your affirmation of the day, and we come together and just discuss as a group what's been going on, and to recite our affirmations. We would love to have you again, May 14th through the 20th. So I think that's in all of our announcements for today. We did mention in this podcast, however, you get the early announcement of the April 30th. That's the talisman offer for that Venus Jupiter. That will be coming up soon, where you'll be able to sign up and claim your spot for one of those talismans. So let's move into our house, where I want to welcome you in and get you all meditated and grounded. So this is going to be a shorter meditation, but really the length never really truly matters. I mean, I guess the length really will challenge you to fit in a meditation into your life a little bit more difficultly, but when it comes to a short meditation, it's just as beneficial to lower your stress level, to re-oxygenate your body, to bring more awareness to your body, how it's working, everything that it does for you, to kind of expand your gratefulness for, being in this human form. So I want to begin by just taking a moment and getting into a comfortable position. Put your phone away on silent. I know we're listening to it on your phone, but if you can, just turn your notifications off. Have the area around you comfortable and not distracting. So as we do that, we're going to either be seated, we're going to be laying down on the ground or in our beds. And I want you to take a few deep breaths. And we'll begin by bringing our attention into our body. And how we're going to be doing that is we're going to be noticing right now the weight of our body. Where is it? Is it being supported by a chair, by the bed, by the floor? And just take a moment to really settle in there. And as you keep taking these deep breaths, bring in more oxygen. And as you exhale, have a sense of really deeply exhaling. And if you notice your feet on the floor, notice any sensations there. Notice the way your legs are resting against the chair. Is there any pressure anywhere? Any lightness? Now notice your back against the chair or against the ground. Bring your attention there. Start breathing into those places that you're forming this awareness and this relationship with. And as we scan through this body, we can take these moments just to say thank you. So now let's bring our attention to your stomach, your abdomen. Notice, is it tense? Is it tight? Let it soften just a little bit more with every breath. And now notice your hands. Notice how they're resting, being supported. Is there any tightness? And see if you can allow them to soften even more. And then we'll move our way up into our arms and into our shoulders, and let them just be soft. And breathe into these spaces, bringing our sense of gratitude and this sense of relaxation. So now let's move up into our neck and our throat. And breathe in, feel that air coming in through your throat, extending, noticing any tension. And let them be soft on your next exhale, allowing them a moment to relax. And as we move up even further, we'll start beginning to rest our attention on our jaw. Is it clenched? Can we relax it a little bit more and let our face and our facial muscles have a moment of pure relaxation? And now to our eyes and our forehead. And as we breathe, we relax the temples of our face, our forehead. And now let's rest our attention back on our whole body. Noticing any tingling sensations, any tightness, and bringing our awareness there, where on our next exhale, we can relax even deeper. And as we take a big inhale in, we release it, and we can come back into the room. And I want to take a moment here and just say thank you so much if you're listening to this meditation, and an even greater thank you if you're participating and really engaging in it. I love meditating. I love the sense of being in your body and being able to give your awareness into these different spaces. So with that, I'm going to bring back up the energy into our podcast and bring Sandy back in after she's done this meditation with me.
Nice. Yeah. Anytime that someone suggests you want to meditate, the answer is yes.
Right.
You don't think you want it, and it's like, oh, I don't have time for that. Yeah, you do.
Right. And then
your body has it.
There's no like specific right way to do it either, right? It's just a sense of connecting with the mind, connecting with the body, connecting with the spirit wherever we can. And it's kind of like this overall sense of just even like exercising. Sometimes you're not going to do everything perfectly, and it's not going to be the best like personal record that you've held, but you're just going to continue to show up and continue that consistency. And that is what is key. And for me and from all my mentors that I've learned is just creating that beginner's mind and knowing that, you know, nothing is you're not above anything, you know, and you're not necessarily below anything. It's just to make the connections where you can.
It's interesting because one of my favorite things about the activation with the purchase of a personal intention bracelet or the universal intention bracelets is the activation. And it's a complimentary, you know, offer that I do after you receive the bracelet, and you set up a Zoom call. We do 15 minutes and we start with a meditation, and it's like, you know, pushing everything to the side. And it's one of my favorite things I do during the day. When I see I've got an activation, it's like I can set my day apart from there's a beginning when I start, and then there's a pause, and then there's a continuation. And it's the pause where you can do the meditation, and everyone that I've done activations with love that fact that we allow the energy in, but we have to make space for it.
And so cool that, you know, people can like have that recording of the first time that they do that, where they can come back to that moment and be like, wow, look at all the places that I've been able to, you know, achieve, or the depths that I've been able to go from just setting up this course for myself. So, of course, everybody, thank you so much for listening to these episodes of Astrological Intentions. Yeah. It is our soul food when we can hear from you and engage with you. So please email me, alex@intentionbeads.com. Give us a 5-star review on your favorite listening apps. And until we talk to you next week, have a wonderful week, everybody.
See you for the Jupiter-Neptune Talisman webinar. See you then. Bye.
So you finally know you control where you go.